There are two types of changes that materials and substances can undergo. The first one we're going to talk about are physical changes. Physical changes are when the substance or the molecules that make up the substance do not change. Okay, so if we think about water, for example, H2O, we have oxygen and two hydrogens. In physical changes, things like melting, evaporating, or freezing, in any of these changes, the molecular substance or identity, H2O, does not change. The only thing that is changing is the amount or the density of those water molecules and how close they are together. Think about also ripping up a piece of paper. Those molecules that make up the piece of paper are not changing. All of these are different examples of physical changes. Okay. Our second type of change that materials can undergo are chemical changes. Now, a chemical change is one that does produce matter with a different composition than what we started with. Okay, so this is where our molecular or chemical formulas are changing. Okay, so that H2O we were talking about earlier in some type of reaction, that is no longer H2O. Maybe you have a hydroxide ion plus hydrogen gas. Okay, and maybe that's a result of some type of heat applied. Okay, point being, whenever our substances are changing the identity by moving elements around, a chemical change has occurred. Okay, table sugar to solid carbon and water vapor, we can use this as our example. So when we heat it up, or if you heat up bread and things like that, or toast, you'll notice it can become black or darkened. That is a signal to us that a chemical change has occurred, because that black soot or that kind of burnt piece you see on a piece of toast, that's carbon that is appearing. So going into more of that, there are 4 clues that we can observe when we are performing different experiments to determine or to see if a chemical change has occurred. Because we can't actually see if the elements or the molecules are breaking bonds or changing their identity, they're just too small. But what we can see are a few of these things. So, first one, a transfer of energy. So something becoming hotter. If we think about a fireplace, we throw pieces of firewood on a fire, and what happens to the wood? You'll start to see it become blackened. You'll start to see ash float out of the fireplace. That is specifically a combustion reaction, where we are taking oxygen, we are applying heat, and maybe we have something like C6H12O6. Maybe we have something like this, where this reaction or this substance is breaking down to form carbon dioxide and water. So the substances are changing, okay? We are getting different products than what we started with, okay? This is not the same as boiling or evaporating, because water molecules are still staying as water molecules. H2O is still H2O, it's just in a different density, where water vapor, the gas, is much more spread out compared to liquid water or frozen ice. The second one is a change in color. Okay, so sugar turning black. Think about the wood again. You see the white ash form, as well as the inside or outside start to become blackened with soot. So that's the black you see again is carbon. Right, carbon can be very dark in enough density, and so this is basically saying that carbon is being released into the environment and is attaching itself or forming on the surfaces of the objects that we are, in this case, burning or heating up. Number 3, the production of a gas. Sometimes when we add 2 solutions or 2 liquids together, we'll start to see gas form. Those gases could be an example of some type of new substance forming. Hydrogen gas, H2, is often a product that we will see in chemical changes. Usually we can see it We can trap it if we have a closed system where we put something over the beaker where we can keep the gas all in one place. Also think about cleaning a bathroom or bubbles producing. We have all of these cleaning supplies that we can use to help get rid of things on surfaces, and that really helps break things down from a big molecule into more manageable, smaller molecules that we can then pick up or get rid of. The last one, the formation of a precipitate. Precipitate is when we have two liquids mixed in to form a solid. Okay, so a precipitate is, say we have two liquids we add to the same beaker. In that beaker we'll have something, sometimes it looks like a small rock. That is what we call a precipitate. So whenever we have that form, that is a strong indication that a chemical change has occurred. All right, so these are the 4 clues or observations that we can see with our own eyes that a chemical change has occurred.